Hello and welcome to episode 41 of 10,000 Stitches Podcast, a weekly chit-chat all about the joys of sock knitting. My name is Andy and I like to knit socks even though I haven't been doing much of it lately. If you wanted to find me on the interwebs, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry as Purlbug, P-U-R-L-B-U-G. You can find my blog at thepurlbug.com, and then we have the 10,000 Stitches Podcast Ravelry group. And if you're looking for links to anything that I mentioned today, if you're watching this on the blog post for this episode or the Ravelry thread for this episode, everything will be linked right down underneath the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, underneath the video in the description box will be a link to the blog post for this episode. You can go there, and then all the links will be below the video. Awesome. Let's see, I'm recording on Sunday, September 25th, and I'm actually recording pretty early in the day. It's about 12:30 right now, and that is because I still have a buttload of things to do today, and I wanted to make sure I got this recorded before I went and did those things, because I know that as soon as I get doing stuff that needs to get done, the day is just going to run away from me. So I figured, let's go ahead and record, and then I'll go be productive. But I think this is going to be a shorter episode just because I don't have a lot to talk about. I didn't even make a list of notes or anything because I just feel like I don't have much to say. So we'll see. We'll see how long it goes. But we'll follow the kind of normal format: finished objects, works in progress, what's coming up next, knit along, question of the week, and then chit-chat stuff. So, I don't have a finished object this week. I think last week I showed you guys my finished socks done using the Patons Kroy with the Kiss the Partridge heel. So those were finished last week, I think. I gave them to their intended recipient and they fit, so that was awesome. So this week I have been working on my broken seed stitch socks. And so I have a work in progress / half and a little bit object, I guess, because one of them is done. So this is the done one. And the other one is, I'm about halfway through the foot. So that's about how far I am. So this is, like I said, the broken seed stitch sock. And like I said, I'll link the pattern below. I knitted it as a 64 stitch sock on my US size 1s, which are 2.25 millimeter needles. It's knitted toe up, and it's done with the green and pink yarns that I dyed myself, and with a Fish Lips Kiss heel. So, this is what it looks like up close. I think I mentioned last week that I feel like this color combo kind of reminds me of like watermelon. I guess here you can maybe see each of the individual colors a little bit better. So I did the toe in green, and then obviously I did the 1 row of stripes for the broken seed stitch pattern, and then I did the heel in pink. And on this one I decided to do the cuff, to keep the alternating rows in the cuff. I kind of, in hindsight, I think it would have been better had I done the cuff in a solid color, but hey, whatever. I mean, the way I look at it, the cuff is going to be, usually tucked underneath my pants or something anyway, so whatever, it's fine. I'll do the other one the same way. So yeah, that's that. I mentioned last week that this stitch pattern tends to produce a little bit looser fabric, which was why I did a 64 stitch sock, even though I typically need a 68 stitch sock on my US size 1s. But yeah, these fit great because it is such a stretchy kind of stitch. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this one. And this one, like I said, I think I'm about halfway through the foot on it. Yeah, I've just been chugging away. I don't think doing it 2 colors necessarily takes any more time than if I was doing it with just a single color, but it definitely takes more time than if I was doing just a vanilla sock because of all the purling with the seed stitch. But I definitely, it's not a hard pattern to memorize or anything. It's basically just, a 2-line pattern more or less. So it's not like it's thought intensive. It just takes a little bit more time doing all that purling. But I am enjoying it. So yeah, I'm hoping to have this one done by midweek maybe. I just haven't had a ton of time to work on it, even this weekend. But I think I finished this one on Friday and then started this one on Friday. So yeah, you can see how little time I've had to work on it over the weekend. But I'm hoping maybe I can get some time done on it tonight and just keep chugging away, row by row. So yeah, that's what is currently on the needles. And then what's coming up next is the same thing that was coming up next last time. So I am going to be doing, although I think I'm going to switch the order. So the next 2 pairs of socks I'm going to be doing are going to be the Pucker socks by General Hogbuffer, and then the Paranormal socks, which I don't remember the name of the designer, but it's a knitty pattern. But I'm gonna, before I had said that I was gonna do Pucker, then Paranormal, and I'm gonna switch those two. Do Paranormal first, then Pucker. Just because with the Broken Seed Stitch socks taking me longer than I had intended, partly just because I haven't had a lot of time to work on them, I really want to do the Paranormal ones because, like I said, those are gonna kind of be my Halloween socks, and so I really want to make sure I get them done in time to wear them for Halloween. So, I finally decided on the yarn I'm gonna use for them. I'm going to use, I've shown this before, this Deborah Norville Serenity sock yarn. It's a 50% superwash merino, 25% bamboo rayon, and 25% nylon. So, and this, it calls the color navy, but I would call it like a really dark gray. I don't think it appears as blue as what I would think of as navy. But yeah, so I'm going to use that, and then I have some leftover, this is Cascade Heritage sock, and I don't remember exactly the color, like it's like snow or something. It's kind of what I would consider to be like a soft white. So I'm going to use these 2 together to make that pair of socks, and I think it will work really well because they kind of need like a very high contrast pair, and I think it will look good with just solid colors. So that's going to be for my Paranormal. And then for the Pucker socks, I'm going to use that same Deborah Norville Serenity sock. I have, you know, this skein, and then I also have the other one that I was using. I'm pointing at it even though you guys can't see it. I also have the other skein that I was using for my Pixels socks that are not to be, so I still have to unwind them, but that way I have some extra yarn if I need it. But yeah, this is just another skein in that same color, and then I will be using my Crazy Zauberball as the contrasting color. So I think those will work well together. I think they'll look really cool, and yeah, I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited about the Paranormal socks just because I'm getting really excited for Halloween. Like, I know I've been complaining about how hot it's been here. It's finally starting to cool down and feel a little bit like fall. And it was weird because, like, yesterday I was out, you know, walking around and doing some stuff. And, you know, I got back home and I said, it's really hot out. Like, it was mid-80s yesterday. So it was still pretty hot. But I was telling Wesley, I was like, it feels like fall. You know, it's hot. But like in all the other like intangible little ways, like it feels like fall today. And now today it's cooled down a little bit. So like today it really is starting to feel like fall. And so I'm just trying to get super excited about it because I've decided that I'm sick of being, you know, too cool to be excited for Halloween and stuff. So hence my little jack-o'-lantern bucket here. So yeah, I'm super excited for the Paranormal and then the Pucker socks because I think they're both going to turn out really well. So yeah, that is what is coming up next, and I won't take a break and pause this or anything. Let's talk about knit along. So we have some more finished objects. I actually think there's a finished pair of Pucker socks in the finished object thread now, so if you want to see what they look like other than what's on the pattern page, you can check that out. But yeah, I think we have 4 finished objects now, so we are chugging along, but we're almost halfway through. So by the end of this week, we will be done with September, which is crazy to me that September's gone already. But that puts us halfway through this knit along, so I need to get a skein of yarn dyed up for a prize. But I'm hoping we see some more finished objects coming in soon. Remember that, you know, even if you're not feeling up to doing stranded color work, you know, you can do like me and like some other people are doing, and you can just do, you know, socks that kind of utilize just 2 colors in like striping patterns and do like some of those mosaic patterns or like helix sort of stripes like these, or even just a basic striped sock. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, super short skinny rows. Like if you want to do just a sock that stripes 2 colors of yarn and, you know, you want your stripes to be 10 rows long or something, that's fine too. You know, there's a lot of flexibility with color work because I want everyone to be able to do something and to feel included. So it's not too late. Feel free to jump in on this knit along if you want to join in. But yeah, I'm hoping that maybe by next weekend I will have time to dye up a skein and have a prize to show you guys, but I don't yet. So yeah. But yeah, that's it for knit along news. And then so question of the week. So yeah, this is going to be a short episode just because, yeah, it's been a busy week. Question of the week. So, question of the week last week was talking about like what's your favorite movie, and I got some really great answers for that, and that was just super fun because I always love to like know that kind of stuff about people, like sort of those little facts that you wouldn't necessarily gather just by chit chatting with them, but it's like, oh, that's so cool to know about you. So I love doing that kind of stuff. So that was my question of the week last week. My question of the week this week is another sort of non-knitting thing, but it's related to knitting. So this morning, I was making a big batch of chicken broth because Wesley and I have decided that we just don't have time right now to like cook raw meat, to buy meat raw and then cook it. So what we've been doing is we've been buying those like pre-cooked rotisserie chickens from the grocery store because they're like $5 a piece, and each one has a decent amount of meat on it, and it's already cooked, and it's cooked really like they're delicious. So we've been buying those, and when I can, I like to then take the bones from those and make broth with them. So this morning I took the meat off of 2 of them and shoved all the bones in my big, huge, like cast iron pot and put a bunch of water in, and I made chicken broth with it. And, it's not as if it saves me that much money to do it. I think chicken, like a quart of chicken broth is like $2 at the grocery store, and that's even like the organic stuff I can get pretty cheap. So it's not as if it saves me a lot of money, and it certainly doesn't save me time. But it's like one of those things that I really like to do myself. It's I don't know, it's so rewarding to know that like I made that broth myself. I didn't buy it in a carton or something. And I mean, I feel like knitting is kind of one of those things too. I mean, of course, we could all go buy smart wool socks or something, and then we don't have to take the time to knit them. And typically, like depending on what kind of yarn you're using, it's not as if they're more expensive than some of the yarn that we use to make socks with. And yet we knit socks ourselves. And because there's some rewarding feeling that we get from doing it ourselves. And so my question of the week this week is, other than knitting, of course, because I'm assuming that we're all like that if we're here, what is the other thing, or what is another thing that you do yourself, even though it doesn't save you money, it doesn't save you time, but you just feel compelled to do it yourself? Like you just kind of refuse to take the convenient way out. For me, a lot of times that's the limited amount of cooking stuff that I do, like things like making broth, or cooking things from scratch that I don't necessarily have to, rather than just buying them. So that's mine, is typically cooking things. What's yours? I'd be curious to hear like what things people, it's like, no, I can do this myself, and you just kind of have to do it yourself. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for the knitting sort of stuff. We're at like 13 minutes. So if that's all you're here for, thanks for hanging out. Sorry it was a short one this week, but who knows? I'm sensing that maybe just for this entire fall semester, or for the next couple weeks until we like hit midterms, I'm just going to be so busy with everything that I'm just not going to have time to do a lot of knitting. But we'll get through this. But yeah, if that's all you're here for, thanks very much for hanging out, and I'll see you next week. Otherwise, let's talk about the last week for me, even though I'm guessing that will be not very exciting either. So, chit-chatty stuff. First of all, I know I hinted at the end of my chit-chat last week about maybe a tutorial going up. That's not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. I had recorded everything, and I don't know, my computer's been having a hard time lately. Sometimes it doesn't want to recognize my my microphone. And so when I was recording that, I recorded like this, what I was going to use for the tutorial, in like 3 chunks. And the middle chunk, it decided that it didn't want to record any audio. So, and like going back and doing a voiceover for like a tutorial like that, if I wasn't intending originally to have it be a voiceover, it's very tough to go back and do that. And so, yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to refilm it another time, and that's really a bummer, but that's how it goes sometimes. So, sorry about that, but that's why I kind of didn't really mention it in the main part last week, was because I hadn't looked at that footage before I sat down to record the episode, and my nose is so itchy. I know I keep rubbing my nose. It's so itchy. Anyway, I hadn't looked at the footage yet, so I had my concerns that either it wasn't just going to be very good in general, or that, there might have been some technical failure, and that's what it turned out to be. So go figure. But yeah, Otherwise, this past week, still just been really busy. Let's see, it was the second week of labs running, so just busy with that stuff, and busy with like homework stuff. This stats class that I'm taking is not particularly hard. Like, the work that we have to do for it is not hard necessarily, but it just takes a lot of time. Like, to write up the homework the way that they want just takes a lot of time. And so, I'm always surprised by how long it takes me to get that done, because it's like the calculations themselves don't take a long time, but just all the other stuff I have to do takes forever. So that's been taking up a surprising amount of time. And yeah, then just working. And we had a TA this past week who had to, on kind of short notice, like leave town and deal with something. And so I had to fill in for a couple of her labs. Wesley filled in for one of her labs. So that was, that just took time away from other things. And and like it's been to the point where like I get home at night and I'm just completely pooped and just no energy to do anything. So it's basically been like, okay, go to work and spend all day at work and then come home and go to bed, has kind of been what my life has been like. And I'm honestly trying to think what I even did this week. Not a lot. So what was really frustrating is, so Friday night, in like overnight Friday to Saturday, I've mentioned before we live on a busy street, and I think I've even talked before about, getting nights where I don't get a lot of sleep because people are just noisy. And I'm hoping that we're coming to the end of that soon, because, as it cools down at night, then fewer people tend to be out in the middle of the night, and fewer people tend to like drive around with their windows down. Like, that's a really annoying one, is people, because we live right kind of at like an intersection, and so people will drive up and they'll have to stop at the light and they'll just have their windows down and just blaring music out of their car at like 3:00 in the morning. And it's like, do you have no concept that like you're being super rude and that other people can hear this? And it's always just the worst music too. But yeah, so I'm hoping that soon we'll be coming to the end of that. But we had one of those nights, Friday overnight into Saturday, where it was just like one thing after another. I went to bed probably at like 10, and Wesley came to bed at some point after that. And then at midnight, we got woken up by sirens. And I mean, sirens aren't an unusual thing for us because, as I've said before, we live just down the street from the fire station. So, sirens aren't unusual, but like these sirens were coming to here. And I think it turned out that like our neighbor or something, it was like for our neighbor, it was like a fire truck and like an ambulance or something. And so, it's not just the sirens, but then of course they're parked right outside and the lights are flashing in our windows. So like that woke us up at midnight, I think, and was going on for a decent amount of time. And then, we kind of got back to sleep, and then someone else came by at, like 2:00 in the morning, blaring music, and woke us up again. And it was just like, are you kidding me? Why? So yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of sleep Friday night into Saturday, and that just really impacted the day yesterday, because it just meant that I just didn't have the energy to get things done. And that was super frustrating, because like, so now today I have to go into work to get some stuff done that I had originally wanted to get done yesterday, and I just couldn't because I just had no energy to do it. So, I mean, what we did get done yesterday was I went to the hardware store and I bought a Dremel. It's the first power tool I've ever, I think, bought for myself. But I'm making these little boxes at work, these little like circuit sort of boxes that are going to be used for some of the labs that kind of are going to be pre-set up so that students, all they have to do is just like hook it up to a power supply and then plug in their voltmeter and like take readings. Because we sort of have these things already, but like it's a very old setup and it doesn't work very well. And like, so you just get bad data because it just doesn't work. Like the connections are just not good. So I'm trying to make this better, and I'm putting them in these like plastic boxes, but I need to cut holes out of the lid. And so I was like, you know what? Wesley and I can also use a Dremel. Like, there are things that we want that for. And so I just went and bought one rather than like trying to buy it through the department, because I wanted it to be mine. So we went and did that yesterday. And then now, after I get done recording, I'm going to head up to my office and start cutting out the pieces that I need. But yeah, we did that, and I went and got groceries, and that was kind of it. So we've also, of course, not been able to do a lot because the car has been not running, but it finally got picked up on Friday, I think it was. It got picked up. A tow truck came and got it, and it has been taken to a body shop, so hopefully, a collision place, whatever. A repair place. So hopefully they will take a look at it soon and figure out what needs to be done and get it fixed. I'm optimistically hoping that we'll have it back by next weekend. Wesley is more dubious, but my theory is like, well, once it's there, they don't want it to stay there any longer than it has to, right? Like, they don't want it taking up space in their garage any longer than necessary. So they're going to be, working to get it out faster. So I'm hoping by next weekend, we will have a car back, because now it's been like a month that we haven't had a car. So yeah, that's been annoying. But so that's been dealt with. And I'm trying to think of what else. Like I said, it's just kind of been boring, and like this weekend I've just been trying to kind of catch up on everything else I've had to do, and trying to like prepare things for the next week so that I'm not just like drowning this next week. But I mentioned that I'm starting to kind of get super excited for fall. I think I was trying to say this before, but I'm not sure that I said it very clearly. I've always been one of those people who kind of doesn't get super decorated and stuff for holidays, just because, because I don't have a lot of time, because, being on an academic schedule, you wind up with finals and stuff running practically up until Christmas. So it's like the month of December, like in terms of like winter holidays, the month of December tends to be super stressful because it's like the end of the semester and then finals, and then boom, all of a sudden it's the holidays. So I typically just don't make the time to do it. And Halloween, I'm just always kind of like, whatever. But I've decided that like I'm getting too old to like care about, feeling embarrassed to be excited about holidays. I've just decided, you know what? I'm done being too cool for the holidays. I'm gonna get super excited about it. I'm just gonna be a basic white girl and be super excited for fall, and that's okay. And so on that note, I bought these guys yesterday, new little fragrance melts for our little. We have a little wax melter. I had been kind of unknown to this whole world of wax melters until my little brother got me one, and he got me a little wax melter, and it's basically, if you haven't ever seen one before, it's like usually it's kind of like a cylindrical thing that has like a light bulb inside, and then kind of right on top of that light bulb sits a little dish, and you put these little wax melts in the dish, and they look like this. So they're just these little wax chunks, and they're smelly, and you put them in the dish, and then it the light bulb warms up the dish and melts the wax and releases the smell, and then your whole place smells delicious. And it's kind of like a nice alternative to candles, especially because I've lived in apartments for my pretty much entire adult life, and most apartments don't like you burning candles. And so and I just don't like the idea of having something burning in my apartment. Like, that just it's like, I'd rather not. So these are like a nice alternative to candles, and so I like to buy them in different scents. I had like some lemon scented ones over the summer that are sitting on the floor over there. The wax melter is actually sitting right down on the floor here. So I had some lemon scented ones for summer, and now I have these fall festival ones that basically smell like a pumpkin spice latte, but in a little wax thing. And then I think last winter I had peppermint scented ones for like Christmas time, and so I'll probably get some more of those. But I love these. They sell them at like the grocery store for like, I think this was like $1.50, and it's just like one of those fun little ways to kind of like change up your space without having to do anything. It's like, oh, it smells delightful now. So I'll probably get some apple ones too. But I highly recommend, like, especially if you live in an apartment and you can't have candles, I highly recommend wax melts. And you can get like the wax melters themselves at like Target for like $20. And like I said, the wax melts, like if you don't buy like super fancy ones, can be gotten pretty cheap too. So yeah. And I think we're gonna buy like some like colored lights for like Halloween stuff. So I think we're gonna order those off Amazon maybe today or tomorrow, and if we get them and we put them up, I will let you guys know about how it goes. But the ones I have my eye on are these like solar powered ones, and so that I think are kind of meant to be outside, but I'm gonna put them inside and just stick the little solar thing out the window and have it be outside, but the lights be inside. So we'll see how that goes. But I can tell I am getting rambly and I need to go do productive things like I said, so I guess that's going to be it. We're going to be under a half hour today, I think. So that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for this short amount of time, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.